Welcome to an episode of Inside Devils Extra with me, Angelina Kelly. Manchester United are somehow still unbeaten in Europe after that 3-0 victory over Athletic Club. There's still a second leg to come. Can United hold on, or will Athletic pull it out of the bag at Old Trafford? To dissect the fixture, joining me is Spanish football expert and Athletic fan Alvaro Romero. Thank you for joining me. I've got to do a wellness check. How are you? Are you in shock?
Disappointed, devastated. To be honest, the first half was a proper downer. I thought that the scoreline could have been heavier after being reduced to 10 men. But yeah, I guess that as the days go by, probably some hope will rise inside me, and I will believe that a comeback or a remontada, as we call it in Spain, is possible, because I have seen Manchester United conceding a lot of goals this season. But yeah, I thought that perhaps Athletic could have won the first leg. Didn't happen. The send-off of Vivian is quite a costly one for the second leg, because he's the best defender we've got. So, I was rather upset, I'm not gonna lie. And I think that the mood everywhere, even in the camp of Athletic de Bilbao, is very similar to mine.
I was going to say, what has the reaction been towards United and to the result, especially in Spain? Because you could see in the stadium, the fans, rightly so, looked absolutely devastated.
Yeah, well, let me say before anything that I really dislike the way some fans observe the minute of silence for Pope Francis. So I really wanted to say that, because I think that there was a lack of respect there. So that wasn't nice. But coming back into your question, I think that it was not what we wanted, not what the fans wanted. It's true that the fans stayed loyal until the very end, because this is what Athletic de Bilbao fans do. But I think that the main talking point has been the referee, and how a few decisions really costed Athletic de Bilbao. The penalty was possibly a penalty. Then if it was a penalty, it was very likely to be a red card. But you could hear from Ernesto Valverde after the game that they didn't think that the penalty was very clear. Iñaki Williams went in the same direction when it came to judging the action. And I think that the controversy or the refereeing decisions have been probably the main subject matter in Spain and in Bilbao after the game. But yeah, again, rather than licking our wounds and thinking about that, I think that Athletic de Bilbao has to think about the second leg and try to go there and get something out from Old Trafford.
Going into the game, I know Manchester United fans, we were feeling very, very nervous about this. I mean, you've got the best defence in La Liga, and despite missing some players, when it comes to scoring goals, you have got way more options in your roster. Did you guys feel confident as fans going into this, especially with, the dream story of the final being in your stadium as well?
Well, that has been the main catalyzer for the season, just having the final in Bilbao, to the point that Athletic de Bilbao is fourth in La Liga, very well placed to qualify for the next season's Champions League. And I think that has been a secondary thing, because winning a trophy at San Mamés in Europe, because Athletic has won many trophies domestically, but never in Europe, that has been the main thing this season, the main line, the main point, the main argument, and the main subject matter, as I say. The factor of playing at home in the final, it's something that is going to make the players go 100% at it at Old Trafford, that's for sure. And that's what the players will be fighting for. I have no doubt about that. But you referenced the defensive record, and yes, this season it has been really good, really good. It was surprising to concede 3 goals. But yeah, the way they defended in the first goal, the way they defended a player like Harry Maguire wasn't the right way to defend him on the right channel. Then the action of the penalty was something that sometimes happens and you have to deal with it. I think that we saw Athletic de Bilbao's good defense, in fact, in the second half when they were reduced to 10 men and they didn't concede any goal in the second half. One of the main issues of Athletic de Bilbao this season has been how competitive they have been, but not because they score a lot of goals. There I will disagree a little bit. I think that it's been defense first and scoring second. Now, if you want to win at Old Trafford, you need the best strikers to be in the mood and up for the challenge. But Athletic's best strikers are not really high scoring ones. Nico Williams, Iñaki Williams, Marouane Sanadi, a player who 6 months ago was playing in the Spanish third tier, are not particularly great goal scorers. And it will take a joint effort from everyone to score many goals at Old Trafford. Hopefully, one of our best scorers and one of our best players, Ollán Sancet, will be ready for the second leg. And we will have to be way more clinical than we have been throughout the season to trigger a comeback.
You mentioned your top goal scorer there. I mean, a massive miss. It will be very key for him to be available for the second leg. Do you feel like there is a feeling that if you do lose this semi-final, and as a Manchester United fan, anything can happen at Old Trafford, and I do not rule a comeback out from you guys, to be completely honest, even though it is 3-0. I mean, the Lyon game speaks for itself. Do you worry that it will be harder to keep players like Sunset or Nico Williams going into the summer if you don't win this competition?
Well, if we qualify for the Champions League, I think the players will stay. Because having the possibility of playing the Champions League with Athletic de Bilbao is quite a thing for these players. Let's don't forget that at the end of the day, Nico Williams, Ollán Sancet, and many more footballers are not only players of Athletic de Bilbao, but are Athletic de Bilbao fans as well. So for them, playing the Champions League for Athletic is some sort of a big reward, a lifetime reward. So, I think that via the Europa League, unlikely, or via La Liga, Athletic will qualify for the Champions League because the 5th spot gives access to the Champions League this season in La Liga. So I think that losing the semi-finals shouldn't be necessarily a synonym of the best players departing. No. I don't think that it's going to work that way.
I'm sure some Arsenal fans definitely will be devastated hearing that, because obviously Nico Williams has been one that they've had their eye on. But just talking about, the game, obviously you go down to 10 players. You talk about the refereeing decisions. There was obviously the Garnacho situation as well, where it seemed like a handball. There was the Harry Maguire, the VAR check, the penalty, the red card. But did you talk about the second half that you managed to kind of rally defensively? Do you have any positives to take away from the fixture? Maybe that you did keep it to 3-0, because United fans were thinking it could have been 4 or 5.
Yeah, probably. Look, when it was 11v11, I think that Athletic was paired up with Manchester United, level up with them. Iñaki Williams had a glorious chance. That was a header in front of the goalkeepers. He sent it high. Then Berenguer had another very good chance, but I have to say that Victor Lindelof just blocked the ball perfectly. When it was 11v11, the game was very leveled. And then that is probably the biggest positive I take from the game. And then the second half. I know that Manchester United maybe could have pushed for a 4th or a 5th goal. I don't know if they went at it 100%, but the fact that you keep a clean sheet in the second half against a team like Manchester United with 10 men is kind of positive. I guess that you have to see the positives of that, and that's going to be the message in the locker room from Ernesto Valverde to the players, right? But at this stage, the negatives prevail. I'm sorry, but 24 hours ago, I really thought that this could be a win for Athletic, and out of the sudden it's 3-0. You have to come back from that deficit. So it's inevitably that is the feeling that goes around all the fan base.
And I have to ask about a Manchester United player, Casemiro, a player who, Spanish football fans in general, will have seen a lot of with Real Madrid. Have you been surprised at the way things have gone this season? Because he was terrible for Manchester United, especially in the Liverpool game. We have pundits in the UK like Jamie Carragher saying, leave football before the football leaves you. And he has somehow managed to turn things around and actually become, fair enough, this isn't the strongest Manchester United team, but he actually played a very important role. A lot of Manchester United fans are saying that he was their player of the match last night.
Yeah, it's a weird one with Casemiro, because his last season at Real Madrid wasn't too good. I just think that Casemiro was good in the big moments. In the Champions League final, he was excellent, for example. But that league in 2021-2022, correct me if I am wrong, Casemiro wasn't particularly great. He went to Manchester United, different context. It's true that he's a little bit slower than he was 5 years ago. And in that game against Liverpool this season, there was that action that somehow summarized the twilight of a footballer. He couldn't chase for the ball, he lost it in a very weak way. But yeah, somehow he has gotten his act together, he has gathered some energy back, and at Bilbao he was good, I would say. The competitive edge of Casemiro will always be there, but I think that his mentality is also very good, because after the game, Casemiro was interviewed by Spanish media in the mixed zone, or maybe in the flash interview, I couldn't specify that, and he said, look, I played many times against Athletic de Bilbao, I played many times in San Mamés, and I know how difficult it is to win here. Real Madrid has lost repeatedly over the years at Bilbao, so probably he sent out that message to his own players before the game, like, guys, playing in this ground is not an easy thing, and I wouldn't be surprised if Casemiro was actually the best in the United locker room this week, saying, guys, this is not over, we haven't won it yet, let's see what happens, we have to stay 100% for the second leg. So, even if Casemiro's legs are not the legs of 2015, Casemiro's mentality will always be a very positive asset for Manchester United. I have no doubt about that.
I completely agree. I think you don't have the success that you have as someone like Casemiro without having picked up a certain level of mentality. So I definitely agree. Going into this second leg, we've mentioned it a little bit. Old Trafford is not the fortress that it once was. I mean, it's falling down, it's leaking, but also, clubs are getting results there. Does that give you hope going into this second leg? Because Manchester United fans as well are more nervous of home games recently because there's been some disastrous results. So do you look at it and think, you don't look at Old Trafford and think, oh my God, this is going to be tough. You look at it and think maybe, no, we could potentially cause an upset with an early goal.
Yeah, of course, an early goal will change a little bit the dynamic. I have no doubt about that. It's very true that Old Trafford is no longer the fortress it was. I agree with you. I think that Athletic de Bilbao fans also go back to 2012 when Athletic de Bilbao beat Manchester United 3-2 with a late goal from Iker Muniain. I was there in the ground, and my family and I still talk about that game as one of the nice victories that we got against Alex Ferguson's Manchester United. So I think there will be, probably the build-up will be something like that. Like, number one, Old Trafford has been, as of late, a ground where many teams have collected points, and number two, look at what happened in 2012. Manchester United was better than they are now. They were under Fergie, full stop, and yet Athletic managed to get a result there. So I guess that the conversation will be there, the narrative will be there as well. But again, it's a 3-0. Athletic de Bilbao historically has been really good domestically, but then in Europe we have never established ourselves as one of the dominant sides for various reasons. Not in the Champions League, neither in the Europa League, where we reached the final in 2012 and we lost it catastrophically against Atletico de Madrid. So, if the second leg was at home, I would have a bigger belief. But yeah, a goal can change everything. And having, again, I'm going to emphasize the name of this player, Ollán Sánchez back can be a game changer too, because he is a switch. He's a player that gets the ball in the pockets and he runs forward, he scores a lot of goals. He's the top Spanish scorer in La Liga right now, which is quite something because he's missing a lot of games. So if he is back, and Nico Williams has a good game because he was very poor in San Mamés, in my opinion, very erratic with his decisions and all that, then Athletic, yes, will believe, at least at some point in the game, there is a possibility that they will be believing. But again, there is a mountain that you have to climb, and it's a very, very steep one, really.
Is there anything about this Manchester United team after the first leg that scares you now after seeing them play against your club? Or do you think it was more a case of the circumstances of that game?
No, I always had an utmost respect and fear for the footballer of Bruno Fernandes. I think that he's a player that he has earned some criticism in England, more for his antics, but when you have him in front of you, you fear him. Personally, I do. I think that he's a footballer that can shoot from anywhere. His range, passing range is incredible. Very strong, very competitive. So, yesterday I felt in first person how it is to face a player like Bruno Fernandes. I think that, sadly for him, even in Portugal, he's been second to Cristiano Ronaldo for a few years now. And, if he took the reins of that Portuguese side, maybe Portugal would be in a different place, if you ask me. So yeah, probably Bruno is the player that I will fear the most. Then physically Manchester United matches Athletic de Bilbao. I have no doubt about that. But there are also things that are unconvincing from me from Manchester United. I think that their build-up game is not the greatest. Sometimes Onana has been a liability for Manchester United in games.
He loves a mistake, does Onana?
No, absolutely. So, not that I wish him a bad thing, but if he can give us a little mistake at Old Trafford, I'll be very thankful to Onana. And then, I think that the strikers sometimes have been a little bit erratic in front of goal. Højlund, Alejandro Garnacho is a player I really like. His work ethic is phenomenal, but then he doesn't score a lot of goals, even though he was very dangerous at some moments, I have to say. So, Manchester United is not a complete side. On the other hand, there is something about Manchester United that I keep on saying to my friends in Bilbao. Look, this team may be in the bottom half of the season, of the Premier League table, but on the other hand, they beat Manchester City in an FA Cup final. They won the Europa League in 2017. In seasons where you think, okay, Manchester United is going to end up trophyless, they end up winning a trophy. So there is something about them that also is a little bit ambivalent. Yes, sometimes they are poor in a random day in the middle of February and they lose at home 3-0, and suddenly in May they are lifting a trophy. So teams like this that are very ambivalent, that have two sides, two different personalities completely, are those that you don't want to face. But, we have already seen at San Mamés the good face of Manchester United, the one of a winning team. Hopefully they will turn up showing the losing profile that sometimes they have depicted in some games in the second leg.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. You don't know. I always say you don't know which Manchester United team are going to show up. It is such a strange one. And finally, some positivity for Athletic Club. How do you want them to approach this game? How do you expect them to go into it? What do they need to do to try and turn this game around?
Well, what they need to do, they have to attack. They have to put a lot of intensity. Probably they will have to take a lot of risks, and no one in the squad will be reluctant to take risks because they really want to be in the final. They have to forget that the final is in Bilbao. They have to think about the game individually. Try to win at Old Trafford. They have to think about the first goal before thinking about the second, if that makes sense. They don't need to think about hammering Manchester United because that would be silly, because that doesn't happen. They have to think about scoring the next goal, go one by one. They have to think about winning, beating Manchester United, plain and simple. And then if the circumstances give you the slightest possibility, go and profit it, go and take it. But that's the way they have to do it. They don't have to think about the final. They have to think about winning a game against Manchester United, plain and simple.
Well, there you have it. The game is not over. Athletic Club could still potentially cause an upset. Thank you so much to Alvaro for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the latest football content, and let us know if you think Man United can hold on to their lead and get to the final, or if Athletic Club could cause an upset.